Hello everyone, this is Space Marine, and this is actually my first tropical weather update since June 14th, and trust me, if anything serious or interesting was actually happening, I would have posted a lot sooner. But in fact, interesting things did happen, especially like yesterday. Um, so yeah, first off though, like the Atlantic is pretty quiet, and we'll get into that. There's not much to say about it. There's like a huge amount of Saharan air behind my head here in the middle main development region. You can just kind of tell by the way the clouds, like the stratiform clouds, there's a lot of subsidence, a lot of dry air. And then over here in the Atlantic, over Hispaniola, lots of wind shear. This might be a tropical wave or upper level low or something, but there's just jets of air ripping it apart. And then other than that, there's like a little weak cold front, like over northern Florida. But yeah, overall, oh yeah, and here's an area of interest that happened already. We'll talk about that tropical storm Colin, one of the briefest tropical storms I've ever seen. In fact, I didn't even hear about it until I was preparing for the show, which is really odd because I've been like a hurricane fanatic and a tropical cyclone fanatic since I was a little kid, and I rarely miss a storm. Even the storms the NHC, the National Hurricane Center, doesn't declare, I usually like see them. Like there was one earlier this year. But anyways, yeah, there was a tropical storm that I just completely missed. Tropical storm Colin. So this is what it looked like. It had like a nice banding structure. There it is. There's Georgia. There's South Carolina, and it had like a little eye situation going on, nice convective wrapping, and this just kind of happened all at once. So it started Saturday morning. I'll show you the NHC materials here. So the track started Saturday morning. Literally, it just kind of popped up out of nowhere as a tropical storm. In fact, they even put the center like over. Well, wait 1 second. I thought that. Oh yes, this is South Carolina and this is Georgia. Yes, yes. So South Carolina and Georgia, and when the NHC finally declared it, it was like over land apparently. Like they declared a cyclone over land. That's another rare thing, but either way, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, formed over the water. But yes, it trekked across South Carolina, up the North Carolina coast, and fizzled out as it headed towards the Outer Banks. And let's look at some more sweet imagery. So here's like the image where it's off the South Carolina coast before it was declared. And I'm on AmericanWeather.com looking at this. I've been a long time member there. Really great place, especially if you miss something and you just want to find out what happened, just like this. So here's some more imagery. It's spinning. They got the velocity imagery. And there's the convective imagery of the satellite. So yeah, basically a quick fused tropical storm, moved from like around here, Georgia, South Carolina coast, all the way up to South Carolina, all the way up to North Carolina, and then it died. And I'm sure there was some really interesting weather as it went through, but it is already over. See, 5 a.m. Sunday, it is over. So it started Saturday morning, ended Sunday morning, and I didn't even look until Sunday afternoon, which is like right now, and I missed the whole thing. But I'm sure the people that went through it did not miss it. It was probably some flooding rains, some gusty winds. But yes, this was the third tropical storm of the year. So remember, the first one was that tropical storm that went through Florida and caused like 1 or 2 feet of rain around where I live. And the third tropical storm of the year was Colin, which just like hit, the southern states really quick just now. And then here's Bonnie, and I can't get a full track of Bonnie because the Hurricane Center actually overwrote their like archives for the Atlantic. Because basically Bonnie formed, it formed like all the way out into the Caribbean. In fact, let me get a satellite loop to make this more clear. So here's a satellite loop from Curacao, which is like, this is like the coast of Venezuela down here, basically. Here comes Bonnie. And by the way, so Bonnie basically was a very southern tracking tropical cyclone. It, hit Barbados, and then it went like across the northern coast of South America. This is literally South American coastline. It's rare to get a tropical storm that far south. And it didn't really form. It was called a potential tropical cyclone for a long time, but then it did form right as it hit like Costa Rica and Panama. It actually made landfall in Nicaragua technically. Hit Costa Rica, definitely affected Panama too. So it affected all these regions, and then it went off into the East Pacific. So this is a bit rare. This tropical cyclone literally crossed from the Atlantic to the East Pacific, and let's actually go out to the Hurricane Center main site so we can see like where it's going to go now. So this storm did not die. It just crossed the mountains of Central America, kept going, and they show it's going to become a hurricane. In fact, yeah, it has 65-mile-per-hour winds now. It's like way off the coast of Guatemala. And it shows it becoming a hurricane and scooting off into nowhere. It's going to affect ships and some sea life. But this is another non-issue. But it did affect Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. So that was the second tropical storm of the year. So we've had 3 tropical storms in the Atlantic. It seemed pretty quiet, but I've seen years where there's no tropical storms at all. So there's some people even speculating like, oh, this is a quiet year. Nothing's going to happen this year. Well, honestly, this is not the main part of the season. The main part of the season is in like starts in August. Sometimes it doesn't even start till the end of August or September even, where you really start to see them fire off from the coast of Africa over here, You start to see waves coming off, and like a wave train sets up of like tropical cyclone to tropical cyclone. That comes in like August or September into October, and that's the main part of the season. And yeah, one interesting thing I want to note, basically, hurricanes and tropical cyclones are kind of like a fall season phenomena. So we're in the peak of summer right now. The solstice has happened. It is July 3rd, almost the 4th of July. And the solstice was like 10 days ago now, or 2 weeks ago. And like that was the peak heating of the summer for the sun, as far as solar influx. But then again, we see, hey, like even though it's the peak sunlight of the year, there's not much tropical cyclone activity, although we did get two tropical storms just now. But basically, as the seasons change, as the cold air starts to build up again all the way up north, actually way off the screen up in Canada and stuff, and starts to come down a little, and like there's stronger temperature gradients between the poles and the Atlantic and the tropical area, that's when you start to see the hurricanes really fire off. It's like a fall meteorological phenomena that's kind of induced by the temperature gradients getting stronger as the sun gets weaker as we approach the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice. So basically, yeah, we're not in the main part of the season yet. There's people that saying this is a very boring season, but I'm really used to this. I'm like 31 years old now. I've been watching it since I was like a little kid. So this is just so normal to have like barely any activity. And in fact, there's actually been 3 tropical storms that have been declared. That's more than a lot of seasons. There's seasons where you don't see anything till August. Not one declared system. Like the year Hurricane Andrew hit South Florida in August, that was Hurricane Andrew, the A storm. There was nothing before that. So anyways, yeah, that's the tropical update. Not much to talk about. I mean, we can even look at the models, and there's nothing to see here. It shows like the Saharan air and cooler air coming off like, Europe or whatever, and you see the intertropical convergence zone, and there's honestly nothing really forming. This is the future forecast from the GFS, the American model. I don't see anything particular going on, and that kind of matches up with the Atlantic satellite imagery. Like I said, dry air is just like spilling all over across the main development region. There's shear over the Caribbean. There's nothing in the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, it's quiet. We've had 3 tropical storms this year, but we might have to wait a little longer. Even in a fairly busy season, it might take till the end of July before things start getting cooking. I think for the next week or two, we're probably going to get nothing. And I might not update if there's like absolutely nothing going on. And even now, this update's like, I'm only updating because there was a couple interesting things, like with that tropical storm hitting south in North Carolina very quickly out of nowhere. That's the main reason I'm updating today. So anyways, I'll be back though as soon as there's an actual hurricane or something really interesting going on or really crazy with the weather. I will definitely be posting regular updates like constantly as it happens. So like and subscribe to get ready for that. And in the meantime, enjoy your 4th of July. Enjoy the quiescent, tranquil weather that God is offering us in this part of the hurricane season this year. I know it's very hot out there. And yeah, that's the buildup. The ocean soaking up more and more heat. And there will be that explosive hurricane at some point. We just don't know where it will be yet. All right, everyone, have a good one. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.